Welcome to the Here and Now Show. Thank you. And if you tuned into the Here and Now Show, you know that I'm coming from the Midwest, the Show Me State, where we come in, show in, and show out. Gotta love your city. And if you tuned into my, I was trying to get just to get out there. If you tuned into my Here and Now Show, you know that I've created this show from life events, life changing events, and turn them into a positive living. If you have any questions or any comments, feel free to leave it in the comment box because I believe that our voices matter and that all of that is important. So, with that being started, let's start the show. And of course, if you've tuned into my show, you know that I am a sucker for jazz music. So, to get us started, to kind of set the stage, the atmosphere, we're going to kick off with a little bit of jazz before I start the show. Hello, somebody. Put my glasses on, y'all. I can't see. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's your girl. I'm here, and I am so glad that you guys are here with me right here, right now, because today's conversation is a spinoff from last Tuesday, just a few days ago when I was on the air. I spoke about 7 years later, a relationship that broke me and that I thought that would make me all crazy, and it actually built me. Well, this topic right here is related about relationships. Oh, yes. And I'm not talking about any type of relationships. I'm not talking as if I'm a coach or a therapist. I'm just a woman that's been through some ups and downs in relationships, and I just wanted to share it with people alike. So, you can't beat that down. It's just my feelings, my situations. So bear with me. Thank you. Thank you. But today, I'm talking about the 3-3-3 rule. Uh-oh. And the number one relationship killer and the big five when it comes to cheating. I know. We about to go there. Yes, we are going there. Now, let me ask you guys something before we get started. Have you ever been in a relationship where everything starts off good and essentially when you meet someone for the first time, they're a stranger, you're a stranger, and so everything is good, You're being the best that you could be because essentially when you meet someone, it sort of starts off to be a great thing. You're learning each other, you got the smiles, butterflies, and then, slowly as you get into the relationship, it seems like something starts to fall apart, and you start to see more personality with him or shim, him or her, you know, that maybe him or her gets to drinking and they get wild and crazy, and you didn't know that about that, and you or maybe they, do certain things as a trigger mouth, and they always got some slick shit to say, but they wasn't saying that at the beginning. I call that the representative. Now, don't be crazy. I know sometimes we look at the red flags and say, I can see the flag. This motherfucker's glowing, but we still look at it as a green light. I don't know because sometimes we're a people chancellor. Sometimes you want to give people that benefit of the doubt and think, oh, maybe they're not too bad, and I'll give it a couple more chances here, and so, you're kind of rolling with that, right? Because you want to give everybody a fair chance. And trust me, right now, at this conversation, this is not about judgment. I'm not judging anyone at any time. I don't like judging and I don't like to be judged, but this is not what this conversation's about. This is about learning and growing and doing better because everybody knows that relationships, oh my God, they take work. Like I said, you gotta get to know this new person. And not only do you have to get to know them, you have to build an understanding so you guys can have some type of way that y'all connected. And then sometimes, you have to do a self-check. A lot of times you have to do what I call a self-check and be like, let me analyze this, right? I remember I was dating this guy. It was a very short time. When I say short time, I literally mean 3 days. Right? Met him, and in those 3 days, don't you know that thing tried to tell me how to change my hair? He wanted to change my outfit, baby. That was a red flag on the ground for me, and I took off running like a thief in the night. In 3 days, if you're already being this demanding, I don't want to see what you're like in a year, right? So I dodged that bullet. So, so I want you guys, before we get into this conversation, if you need to get you a glass of tea or some coffee or something stronger, you go do that. And we're going to do like, a couple seconds of the jazz because, again, I love jazz music. So we're going to do a couple minutes of that, and then we're going to get into the show. So I hope you guys are ready. So go get that tea, go get that coffee, or go get that strong drink, or that blunt, or that cigarette, whatever you need. Let's get into it, but let's hear a little simple jazz for like, I don't know, a few seconds, and then we'll get into it. Hello, somebody. Welcome back. Welcome back. All right. So, the first thing, if you're just now tuning in, we are talking about relationships. I'm talking about the 333 rule. No, you're probably like, what the fuck is the 3-3 rule? It is simple. It is simple, but it is also powerful. So, let me tell you the first 3 months is what I call the honeymoon phase, the cupcake stage, where everything feels good. You're texting all day and you're calling all night. And you're like thinking to yourself, "Ooh, this is the one for me. Him or she is the one for me. I'm really digging this person." Meanwhile, you don't even know their middle fucking name. You don't know their middle name, but you're digging them. You're on your best behavior. There's no flaws. There's no issues. Just vibes, right? That's that first 3 months. Just vibes. I call that the representative because the representative is who you meet at first. If you don't know what I mean, it's like the telephone. The representative answers the phone call, and then if you got bigger business to take care of, you go above their head, right? So the first 3 months, like I said, I call it the honeymoon stage, the cupcake phase, the butterflies, the feel good. I talk to you every day. I don't even know your middle name, but we are vibing, and I'm like, I can get to know your middle name. In this next 3 months, remember I said it's 333. So the first 3 months, again, cupcake phase, the honeymoon phase. And then the next 3 months, which will put you about 6 months, is the reality phase. Now, this starts to show up when you say, what's the reality phase? The reality phase is their habits start to appear. Their attitudes start to become more strong, their communication skills. And now you're like, oh, so this is who you really are. You really have a short temper. Um, you really don't pick up after yourself. It's giving, I don't know you that well, right? So now that that's starting to clear, you start to have like little disagreements about the music that you're playing in the car. All of a sudden you don't like that song, he doesn't like your song, but before you guys was vibing and the songs were cool and you both liked it, the songs. 3 months ago, that wasn't a problem. I like what you like. You like what I like. Now, speed past, add on another three of the reality phase. That is where the habits, maybe they have habits that you are so unfamiliar with, but again, you might forgive those habits and still feel like that, hey, this is where the relationship is going to be, right? So you have your little 3 months, and it wasn't a problem. Like I said, at first everything was great. And now you start to kind of grow. Either you're going to grow together or you kind of grow apart. It's in that 6 months. So you're going through their habits and their lack of communication still, if there is a lack of communication skills, or their attitudes that you were just unfamiliar with. So then either those type of situations can either grow you together or it can grow you apart. And you start breaking, right? And so then we add the next 3 months. So now you got 3, 6. Now we're adding 3 more months later. That's the decision phase. This is where you decide, am I going to stay with this person despite of their unhealthy ass attitude, despite of all the things that don't seem to be as great as they were? Or you can choose to grow together. Now, now the real thing is that there's no more pretending once you get in the decision phase, because pretending is now out the door. What are we gonna do? We're 9 months in. What are we gonna do? I know your middle name now. I've seen your unhealthy habits or your good habits. I've seen your good attitude. I've seen your bad attitude. I've seen multiple things from you within these 9 months. Now, if you don't see growth in that person within that time frame, it's just my opinion. But if you don't see growth within a 9 months time frame, maybe you should reconsider and let that ship sail. Maybe you want to reconsider that person in your relationship. And if the good outweighs the bad, then you might want to let that ship sail. Just saying. I don't care how sexy, I don't give a damn how fine he is or how beautiful she is. If there's nothing there, they're nothing but a face and a body. And sometimes that's enough for some people, but essentially you want more. Now, it's not all about your beauty. Sometimes you got to have the brain. But if you're beautiful or you handsome and you got a shitty ass attitude, no good. Nobody wants that. So it's okay if you decide that, you know what, we're going to try to go with that. It's okay. I've been there before. I've been there with our second chances. Some of us will, continue the relationship. But then, like I said, at that ninth month, you have that decision phase of whether you want to stay. You've learned their middle name, you learned their attitudes, you probably met their family. So it gives you that moment where it hasn't been too much time, but it hasn't been a short time, but enough time to understand that, hey, maybe I want to be in this for the long haul in the next 2 years, or maybe the fuck I don't want to be in it because it might cost me some issues that I'm not ready to deal with. So now let's talk about the number one relationship killer. Now, I don't know. I'm like again, I'm not perfect. I'm not a coach. I'm not a relationship coach. I'm not a therapist. I'm none of those things. These are just my opinions. And at any time, if you feel like what I'm saying sounds ludicrous, leave a comment. It's okay because I like to know. I'm not perfect. We can learn together. You can teach me. I teach you. We grow together. Hello, somebody. Wow. But what I think the number one killer in relationship is lack of communications. Whoa. Huh. Hello, somebody. Not cheating. And I say that because, when relationships sometimes start to fall sideways, it's common. It's a cheating thing, and sometimes it's common. Now, it's not cool, but it's common. And it's not always about money, unless, of course, you're a gold digger, and unless you're in a relationship and the stability and financially you're a bum, then woman or man, then do you want to help them or do you see that as a red flag? But then maybe, you know, it's not even the arguments, but it's the communication. Because when communication breaks down, everything follows. You stop talking to each other. And once you stop talking to each other, you start assuming. And then you start feeling misunderstood. At least for me, I did. And then the next thing you're living in the same space, but emotionally, you're miles apart. And you ever been like so freaking mad that you said, I'm fine, knowing damn well you are not fine, but you're saying that kind of being passive. I mean, I've done that so many times. I've said I'm fine. On the inside of my brain, I'm not going crazy up there. Like, I'm not fine. I feel this. No, I'm just like having all these mental conversations in my brain, but I'm saying outward, Oh, I'm fine. Now they're confused. I'm irritated because I'm not being honest about my feelings, and they think that I'm fine because I said that I'm fine, and nobody wants to be confused. So, yes, communication matters. I kind of said that out fast. I kind of said that fast, but communication matters. If you don't have communication, what do you have? Hello, somebody. And listen, as long as you can say what you feel and mean what you say, and not only do you say what you feel and mean what you say, you also listen. Because a big part of a relationship is you got to listen, and listening is a part of communication, right? I'm listening to you. As they say in therapy, I hear you, I see you, and I understand you. And I've never been in therapy. I just heard that on TV a lot, and I find it to be very useful in certain situations, because you're addressing how you feel without trying to be over aggressive, right? And listen, if you don't say what you say, say what you say and do what you do and feel what you say and mean it and also listen, and that freedom of that feeling feels good because you're saying what you feel, and on top of saying what you feel, it's a sense of I'm gonna be okay, right? Like this is gonna be all right, right? So let's keep going. Now I want to talk about the big five, right? In relationships. Cheating, right? Cheating. And that is an ugly word. Oh my God, that is not a good word. There is nothing positive about that word when you put cheating in the sentence. If you're cheating on the test at school, or you're cheating your way out of a job, or you cheating in a relationship, anything of cheating, it's not a good word. I don't like that word. Nobody likes that word. That is not a nice word, but it happens. People use it a lot. People do it in actions, and it is a word that unfortunately is used at many levels, right? But the big five, because we all know that sometimes cheating isn't always physical. It's levels to it. You're probably like, what do you mean? You cheat, you cheat. But there is levels, and I'm gonna break some of those levels down. And the only reason why I could break some of those levels that are down is because I've been again in ups and down relationships, and then I've took them and I've grown from failed relationships, and I've grown from positive relationships that I've had or don't have or may have currently at this time. We're not going to talk about relationships that I have, but just know that I have been involved. So I do know what I'm talking about, and I'm steadily involving myself on a daily. But there's levels to cheating, the big five. So I'm going to just give a couple of my theories and my thoughts. And again, if you feel like what I'm saying is a bunch of crock of shit, call me out on it. We talk about it, we discuss it, and then come back on the show that following Tuesday because that's how we do it. We talk about it, we get along, and we understand each other, right? Hello, somebody. The first thing to levels of cheating is emotional cheating. Now, emotional cheating, you're probably like, well, what does that mean? Talking to someone about things that you should be sharing with your partner. Now that you're sharing it with someone else, you are now building a connection outside of your relationship, and that's dangerous, though. That is dangerous. Number two, physically cheating, right? Crossing that physical boundary is a no, right? No matter how many times you say you're sorry, how many times you apologize for it, you can't change that moment that you had with that other individual. I wish you could just like blink it and go away. Oh my God, wouldn't that be easy? Just blink your problems away. But unfortunately, that's not gonna happen. But once that trust is broken, it is hard to rebuild. At least for me, it is. When I've broken trust, because I'm not innocent, I've broken trust in relationships, and I've had my trust broken, both sides of the fence. And it's hard to rebuild that when you've broken someone's trust because they're always looking at you in that other side of the aisle. Like, I forgive you, but I'm still on your ass. Like, I forgive you, but just don't cross me again. So you're always got one eye open while, while you're sleeping. One eye open, you're sleeping, I'm still watching you, and then that also brings unsteady, not so safe relationship when you're always under the microscope, right? again, you may not, want to carry that. The third thing that I feel like essentially is a big five of cheating is digital cheating. Like, yeah, that's the thing. Digital cheating, where you're secretly sending messages or sending money and deleting message, and then you're on your phone like, oh shit, who did I just text? Oh, like now you're strolling like a damn detective, trying to hide your calls and trying to figure out who's calling you, who's doing this. So digital cheating is a thing. And finally, um, also, when you're financially cheating, that's another. And when I say financially cheating, I mean you're spending money not with your lover, secretly, and you're hiding things. Now you like, shit, where did all that money go? I done tricked it off to all this. Yeah, no. So financially cheating is also another. And then micro cheating. I'm like, what the finding it? Micro cheating is finding or entertaining someone's attention and keeping it open and keeping your options open, meaning you're pretending like not in a relationship, but you're entertaining other people while you're in this relationship. You're giving them, you're giving yourself other attention, and you're keeping your options open as if you're single, right? So that's micro cheating, like you're cheating in little bitty pieces, right? Now, question: do you think, or do you guys think, cheating always means the relationship's over? We'll set on that for a minute. So, do you think, when you're cheating on, that means the relationship is always over? That's a real question, right? Because some people, some people stay and some walk away. You control your judgment. You control the board. You control all of that. You control whether you stay or you leave because you control the board. No judgment. If you decide to stay, there's no judgment here. I'm not going to say, oh my God, you're stupid. You stayed. No, I don't know. And there's no judgment. You control whether you want to stay or you want to go. Another question I have: how, someone asked me this question, how do I know if my relationship is worth saving? I say this, because both people are willing to grow, communicate, and change. And not just one person making that change, but all of you, both of you guys working together to make that change, you know? And then there was another question. And again, if you guys have any comments during this segment, feel free to leave them. I'll respond to it. The second question that was asked also is, can trust be built after cheating? Yes, yes. But I feel like it takes time, and it definitely takes honesty and constant and being constant, and consistent. And both people have to want it. Both people have to agree, hey, I did this, this wasn't right, it happened. I can't unchange that moment, but can we rebuild after this cheating? Sometimes, people get in infidelity and the relationships become strong as hell. And they had strength that they didn't even know that was inside the relationship. And they got married and they were happy, and that person never cheated again. And that's wonderful because that is possible. Never think that it's not. It is. And then another question was, why do people stay in unhealthy relationships? Well, I'll tell you this. I, in the past, stayed in unhealthy relationships because it felt comfortable. It was history. And then before I got on my journey to healing, I was fear of starting over. So sometimes you could be in a relationship with someone and you don't want to leave because you're scared to start over, you're scared to start over, you're scared to meet someone new. Let me ask you something. Is comfort worth your peace? Is comfort better than your peace? Because personally, I would rather have the peace over comfort. But that's just my opinion, right? Not everyone has to feel that way. If you want comfort over peace, no judgment. Comfort over peace. But if you want peace over comfort, you know. Another question was, when should I walk away? I can't tell a person when they should walk away, but If you feel like you're losing yourself to try to keep them, hey, walk away, walk away. Hello, somebody. I'll say it again. If you're losing yourself, meaning you're stressed out, you're worried about this, and you guys are always arguing, and it just doesn't seem like it's a hit and miss with your relationship, then you have to ask yourself, hmm, am I worth losing myself to please you? Because it's not. That falls back in with the peace. It falls back in with being at peace with yourself. You don't want to lose that. So because relationships, they can be funny too. They're not all bad. So don't ever think that you ever they're funny. Like you ever argue with your mate at that time or someone you're currently with and you guys are arguing and then you completely forgot what you're arguing about. Now you're mad and you're out of principle because you don't forgot what the hell you're yelling about. You're just yelling and you don't forgot the principle. Or when you say, I'm not texting first. I am not texting them first. They're gonna text me first, but then you keep checking your phone every 10 seconds. Like they ain't text me every 2 minutes. Why they ain't text me? And don't let them respond late. Oh, don't let them reply late. Now you like, oh, what you lying? What you ignoring me? You can't see. Can't listen. You know, um, love is a beautiful thing. It is beautiful, but the real thing that it love relationships, it's real. It takes patience, takes effort. Sometimes it takes knowing when to say, this shit ain't it. This ain't it. This ain't helping me. This is hindering me. This is not it. So let me say this. Relationships we know are not perfect, but they should feel safe. They should feel honest. They should feel peaceful. But if you're constantly confused and you're constantly stressed out and hurting, remember the 333 rule. Remember that it teaches us to pay attention early. It teaches you to learn as you go. And it also makes decisions that that you control, and it also makes you better with communication. So the decision of communication, that is the foundation of the relationship. I'll say it again, the foundation of the relationship is communication. It's not always cheating, and cheating is not always obvious. Sometimes you don't even know you're being cheated on. Some people say it's obvious. You should have known. No, you don't always know when you're being cheated on. It's not always the obvious, but it does matter. So choose wisely, love wisely, and most important, don't lose yourself. Don't lose yourself to keep someone else. Because if you do lose yourself, you won't remember that you are valuable. You remember that you are worthy and that you, me, all of us, we deserve real love. You know, we do. We deserve that. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in with me tonight. This has been so special, the Here and Now show. It has been a growth. It has been a blessing. Some days, are good days on the show, and some days, are up and down. It's life. It's here, it's now. And please stay connected with me with Marshall's Books and More. Feel free to check out that webpage. Feel open and free to purchase, you know, t-shirts, hoodies, or, with the summer coming, if you like, got the coffee mugs, we got the ink pens. I have accessories for days. So stay connected. And I'll keep you guys updated on, my next coming up book event, my book signing event that's coming up. It's in my daughter Ava, book 3. If you had a chance to read book 1, book 2, book 3 will really smack you down. It is wonderful. I'm proud of that. And remember my motto, take a leap of faith. Dreams do come true. You are wonderful, you're healthy, and you're wise, and you're blessed. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Here and Now show. And with that being said, we are off the air. Have a wonderful evening. Have a good dinner. It's about dinner time. I'm going to go home. I'm going to eat. Maybe have me a glass of wine because it's time to wind down. and have a little fun. So thank you guys for tuning in with LaVonda Ray, the Here and Now Show.